So right now, the world is locked in a pandemic and there's a lot of this going on. And currently, it is the talk of the town. I'm going to use a military analogy to explain how actually if we work together, rather than just for ourselves, fighting over loo roll and stealing things and getting as much dry pasta over everyone else as possible, how we could beat this probably together rather than by ourselves. Now, Team 1 is ill-trained and they're made up of selfish people who really only give a shit about themselves. They're not really team players, and as long as they're okay, nothing really matters. But in the military, this doesn't work, because when the enemy pop out and they throw a grenade to initiate an ambush, the grenade could land between one or two of these people. When the grenade detonates, the lethality range could be from 5, 10, 15 to up to 25 meters. So that could take out quite a few people. So if it lands here, he dies, he dies, he gets injured, and he suffers, leaving only about 2 left in the fight. This is when the enemy starts to engage and starts to shoot people, or make these people's lives very difficult as they go around trying to aid their friends. This isn't how we soldier. This is how we soldier. You're always taught to put others before yourself. What we have here is a group of trained Royal Marines commandos about to step foot on the ground. Now this position is called line abreast. Now critical to this is the distance between one another. Team 1 were doing the same. They had the same ground to cover, but they did it as a bunch. Team 2 have up to 15 meters between one another to move through the ground and take out the enemy. Now right now on planet Earth, we are all a target. COVID-19 coronavirus will pick who it wants to pick and do what it wants to do to any of us. It's the same for being in the military. We knew we were a target. We signed a dotted line and we would go out on the ground. We knew we could die, we knew we could get injured, and we knew our friends could be killed and injured. But we can drop the vulnerability of our own mortality within this group if we just spread out a bit. So we would have up to 15 meters between one another. So when this idiot, COVID-19, decides to throw a grenade towards our position and it lands here, it takes out one person, unfortunately, who knew what the consequences of what they're doing anyway, and drops them to the floor. That could be through injury, that could be through death. Now, if the spacing's wide enough, these two are less likely to get hit. They might not even get hit at all. So out of 8 people, we only have 1 casualty, whereas in that group, we've got 4 or 5. This isn't saying that I'm going to put my neck on the line, but if it happens, I know where I need to be. There's enough space between me and my people that if I get hurt, I'm less likely to cause an injury to 1 or 2 of these, if worse, killed. We don't want this to happen, but it could happen. What also happens is it allows us to take eyes onto the enemy after this incident's happened, identify where they've come from, and drop the target. Now we can't at the moment drop COVID-19, but what we can do is keep enough space between one another that we don't make other people vulnerable. Now there's a lot of hearsay, which I mean by the chattering, saying, well, I'm young and healthy, so I only get mild symptoms. But that doesn't mean you won't fuck their life up because you carry it around with you. So we need to take that selfish attitude maybe away for a second. But even more important, the reason I say I'm going to keep harping on about this unity for immunity is because this spacing is here. This spacing is a lockdown. This spacing is happening, and we can't abuse this, and we have to buy into this spacing. But the biggest thing these guys have in this team right now is no matter how much space is between them, they'll still communicate. They'll still work for one another. They will lay their life down and they will put their vulnerability before everyone else is in the team. They'll ring one another. They'll go and check on one another. They will share their food between one another. They will give the other person the loo roll before they use themselves. Because that's what good teams are made of. So this is why I believe unity for immunity is so important. We can't necessarily beat this target. It's here and it's destroying what it wants to destroy. But we can work together to reduce its ability to get us, and we can still communicate between one another. We can share stuff, we can look after each other, and most importantly, like you would do in the military, you can have one another's backs. Now we can go off into the world now and be selfish and fight for all our loo roll and dry pasta, or We could communicate with people who are less vulnerable, are more vulnerable than us, speak with them, knock on their door, see if they want anything, see if they need that spare loo roll that we've been storing away for so long, and work as a team. Because this threat's going to be here. We know this threat is going to happen. We know this person may get hurt. But if we respect this space, and we communicate, we work as an efficient team, and we have the people to the left and right of us in our heads at all times, and not just ourselves, we may be able to destroy this beast far fucking quicker than if we work as Team One.